My name is Martin Sørensen, and I'm from the company Targit and been there for the last 9 years. And my role at Targit is to engage with companies who want to start out with the journey to become more data-driven and work with business intelligence. But I also engage with existing Targit customers who have been using Targit for many, many years. And one of the hot topics right now when talking business intelligence is mobile BI. It's been in the market for several years, but it's something that's really picking up now. And it's also one of the reasons why we have this on the agenda today, is to share with you some of the advantages by using business intelligence on the mobile devices. And hopefully during the next 30 minutes, you can see some of the benefits as well. First of all, on my way up here, I did some research to find out how mature tablets and mobile phones was here in Iceland. I couldn't find any information around that. It's always the Americans who shows up when you try to dig down for the information. But my guess is, if you look at the trend for tablet computers and smartphones, which is the black and orange scale you see over there, these things is something that's really picked up during the last year. And if I should ask you, how many of you guys don't have a smartphone today? I guess I wouldn't see that many hands in the room. If I asked that like 5 years ago, it would probably only be like 10% of you guys who had it. But today, I assume that basically 90% probably have a smartphone in the room. Does any of you use your tablets or smartphone for business as well? Yeah, some of you does. That's also the trend that we see in Denmark and the US, which is still our main markets. That's more and more people is using tablets and mobile phones in their daily work. If we take Gartner, I think Ragnar also mentioned something about Gartner in his presentation. One of the things that Gartner has researched is that CEOs and CFOs is being more and more direct users of BI. After email, BI is probably the most popular applications for those people. Those people don't normally go into the ERP system to get the information. They may ask some of their colleagues, the controllers, to get some reports, etc. But the trend is, as Gartner says, that the leadership wants to get the information through BI systems like, for instance, Target. And that makes it possible to reach out to an audience that you haven't reached before with BI. Because in the past, BI, yes, it might have been designed a lot for controllers or analysts who want to dig down in detailed information. But when you have the devices that the management is using, like the mobile devices, tablets and mobile phones, it's actually possible to reach out to an audience that normally didn't get in contact with BI. So what we see is that it's more and more users who actually start using BI within the companies. And if we look at the existing customers that we have, they have expanded their usage of BI a lot during the last year, just 2 or 3 years, compared to in the past, where it was still a few people within the organization who really utilized the BI product. And one of the trends as well, and you can say that's also one of the arguments for using it on the mobile devices, is that people today want quick response and immediate access to the information. They don't want to wait weeks to get a report from a specialist. They wanted to have it on the fingertips and just go in and see how are we doing according to budget, which product is selling best in which regions. They want to see that immediately. And that's something that's possible by using these mobile devices. And now, enough about the slides. Let's go into the product and show you how it actually looks like. And as mentioned, the whole idea, the trend that we see is companies is becoming more and more data-driven. More and more people is actually utilizing more and more data, not only the data from the ERP system, but also I think, I didn't understand all of Ragnar's presentation, but he was also touching upon Google Analytics. All the data sources that you have around in your company is, you can say the trend is that you want to combine that information and give people access to that information. And that's also something that's quite easily to be done through a mobile device like this. Another thing that's a trend is that Microsoft with their ERP system also give people access to the information through apps. As you see here, for instance, Navision has been in the market for, I think, like 6 months. AX is, I think, still the first version they come with. But it's natural when people work with a device like an iPad and they want to go in and see something in the ERP system, why not give them access to the reports and analysis as well, for instance, in a product like Targit. But let's go into the product now and the app that we have. Just push here, log in. And now I'm in, you can say, in the library of the information that I, as a user, have access to. Of course, there's all the restrictions that you probably know from other systems, that you're only allowed to see the data that you have access to. Up here, you have your mobility folder, where you have all the analysis that is available for me as a user. Then I can click in on the analysis I want to dig into. For instance, this one showing a management overview, showing me just the revenue year to date, index year to date compared to last year. Down here, what have we been selling this month and what is the index. When you enter this, everything starts to get dynamic. So if I just want to see something about Malaysia, I just click on Malaysia. If I can put my finger up there. There. And then all the other objects zooms in, and now we look at the performance revenue per product for Asia, for Malaysia. What have we sold in Malaysia in the current month, and how is the index year to date? And that way you can dig around in the information to find it exactly how you need it. This is really high level. It might be enough for a lot of managers to find out how we're doing revenue according to budget. But if I want to go a step further down and see how are we doing exactly in the United States, now I've made the drill on United States, as you can see on the left side. I just click here on the revenue and find out, okay, the almost 600,000 that we have year to date, how is that revenue divided? I just press on that and go into a more detailed information. As you can see on the top right corner here, I can actually zoom it in here. It's still the 600,000 that we're looking at. We can see what is our budget, and we can see what is the exactly budget variance. So you get that more detailed information. At the same time, over here, you get all my salespersons. So now I can actually also see in the US market who is performing and who's not performing. And it could be that the 4 bottom salespersons or 5 bottom salespersons haven't sold anything this year. I don't know if they have been on holiday or what they have, but it might be a question that you want to send to, for instance, Advania Bolton. What is the reason for not having sold anything this year? And what you can do is basically just type up here on the top and go into an email. And then it actually take a picture of this analysis and context you're in, and you can send that information to persons who actually don't even have access to Targit, and ask them for an explanation why this is looking in this way. And it also keep all, you can say, the criteria that you have, so you can see the sales here is year to date from Jan to March. I can cancel. I'll delete this draft. And in order to make it easy to navigate again for the users, you can say that the target audience of this is people who's not that skilled with IT. They know how to work with Apple devices. They know to work with Android devices. So they just wanted to have it on their fingertips. So in order to make it easy to get back to the point where they started, we just click on the home, the house up here. And then I'm back and I can see, you can say, the results that you saw before in the management view. So then I can dig into Japan, Mexico, etc. to get similar information if that's what I needed. I can go back here. Another example that is used from a lot of our customers is actually for the salespersons. If they want to go out and talk with customers and the customer portfolio to see how are things doing with specific customers, then a view like this is normally perfect. Here you can see my top 5 performing customers. I can see how is the revenue divided by product. And in this case, I can see we have an issue with t-shirts. We have a huge decrease in sales there. And it might be I want to go into t-shirts like this and find out more what is happening there. And as you saw before, I go up and click on the revenue for the 400,000, almost 400,000, and get into a more detailed information where I can see here on the right side the units that we sold of the t-shirts compared with the same period last year. So you can see some of the products we haven't sold at all this year, and it might be that they have shifted to a different supplier. All these things is good arguments for the salespersons when they come out to the customers and try to dig out the reason for not being successful, or at least as successful as we were last year. So this gives the salespersons an opportunity to do upselling, cross-selling, etc. at the fingertips if they're already sitting there with the iPad. It's just you can say a Wi-Fi connection or 3G connection that's needed in order to do this. In the past, people normally printed a lot of reports and had to do a lot of preparations in order to do this. Now they can actually do this on the fly at the customer meetings or in the hotel the day before they go out and get the information that they actually need. Again, the home bottom up here sends you back to the start screen in this case. Another example that I want to show you, because it doesn't necessarily just have to be something about revenue. You can say the graphic possibilities in Target is basically endless if you talk about gauges like you see the one with the students. It's basically just a JPEG or a graphical element where you can put in the numbers as you like it. So you can make that corporate identity that fits the way you want to present it and make it look in a way that makes it more sense for your business users as well. This is an example of a company who's doing training around the world. And as you can see it here, they have plus 7,000 students attending their training courses around the world. Again, if I want to see specifically for Italy, I click on Italy and can see there we had around 900 visitors to our training courses. And again, in order to make it easy for the user, they can always click on the dashboards. So if I want to find out, okay, were the 900 people attending this happy people, then I can basically just click on the 906. And then I go into an analysis who shows me, okay, what was the evaluation of this specific training? How was the content? How was the instructors? And how was the facilities? Just another way of presenting the information, but an easy way to navigate non-IT specialists to the information that they need, so they have something on the fingertips, so they can have a productive discussion about the performance, whether or not it's training or revenue or whatever information that is needed for the specific company. And we go back up here. An example from a Danish customer, Oase Outdoors, who's selling tents, sleeping bags, chairs for camping, etc. All these things that you do when you go camping. They have made this start screen with the 8 KPIs that is the most important for their salespeople, the things that they want to go in and monitor on a daily basis. So this is basically the start picture that pops up for them. And then they can click in on the various areas to find the information that they need. Again, it's just graphic. So again, you can, if you have some specific KPIs that you want to make available for your management or salespersons or anyone else in the organizations, this is an easy task to do that. Then, as you saw before, I can just click on the category split development. And there I come into an analysis. Now it's not the customer's data, but my demo data that shows again the trend year to date, this year compared with last year to date. Again, a really good opportunity to find out some patterns and some opportunities where we're missing footprint and where we're gaining footprint. It's a huge advantage to have that information, and it's in a way that for most people is understandable. A lot of people these days will argue, yeah, we can get the same thing in Excel, and yes, of course it can be presented in Excel in some way, but the challenge is with sharing the information and giving non-Excel people access to the information is a huge advantage with having, you can say, a more app like Target in this case on the iPad or the other devices. It's much more easier for them to work with, because We also see that people who stick with a lot of things in Excel, they still have you can say the business analysts who gets all the questions in the organization, that people want to go back to them to say, okay, I want to see the trends and I want to get this information, I want to get that information. And then you don't get, you can say, the self-service BI that we can see a lot of people is pushing for these days. And again, click on the home button and I'm back to where I started. This was some examples with analysis. Of course, reports, like from PDF reports or reporting service, etc. They are of course also available here in the mobile devices. So now you have more like a static report. This one showing how is my inventory going, my stock in Canada, in this case with my various products. So it's a bit more static, but still, as you can with the analysis, you can click up in the top right corner next to the eye up there, and then you can go in and make a selection and set up the criteria that you want to see. In this case, I have two companies. I have my retail company and my wholesale, and if I want to see, okay, what do we have on stock on my wholesale, I just click on that. That was not wholesale. Like this, say apply. And then you can say render the report again, and now all the information I'm looking at here is regarding my wholesale business. So it's quite easy afterwards to say set up the criteria so we can personalize the reports. It could be salespersons you had in the drop-down list as well, so you can see the performance, for instance, for each salespersons. So it's still both the analytic part and the report part that's available up here. Another example I want to show you, you can say the way you work with is basically the same. It's just different way of presenting the information. This one here shows me revenue against budget at a classic analysis. Again, you can go up here in the criteria. If I hit it right, I didn't do that here. It's a bit hard working this way. Up here you can say the time definitions. And in this case, it's set up using dynamic dates, like year to date, last year to date, etc. Now we're looking at year to date. If I wanted to see this, how did it look previous year to date? I just select that. And of course, everything is updating accordingly. And I can see we're behind budget in that period in Iceland. And I can click again on Iceland. And then I go into an analysis who can see, okay, how is the performance on the 3 major cities in Iceland? How was it in the bottom here divided on my products? And over here I can see it on my salespersons according to budget. And here you can say things works basically in the same way as you saw before. So if I want to click on Reykjavik, just do that. If I can hit it. That's a difficult one. Here. Here we have it. And now we have the performance in Reykjavik. You can always push, you can say the cross tab, etc., and go into full screen mode. So if I only want to see this, I get into full screen mode. It would be an advantage if it was a huge cross tab that you had. And you can of course also share a specific cross tab. So if I just wanted to send this cross tab or image to a person and not the full analysis, I can of course also do that. That's also an option to do it in that way. So there is a lot of opportunities here. You can say regarding visualization, it's basically just up to your imagination to see how do we want to present the data. The huge advantage with this is it's really easy for the users to go in and find the information that they need and make even better decisions and have a good foundations to do the decision making in these cases. So this is how it looks on the tablet, on the iPad. Just to show you, and now I'm a bit curious to see if this actually works. Oh, it doesn't work like this, at least. I just want to show you how it works on my phone connected directly to our own data warehouse and our own data. So I just want to show you an example of that as well. It worked this morning, so hopefully it will work now as well. Yes. Here we have my personal iPhone, which I use also personally, but also for business. And up here I have my Target icon. I can log in, and there I get access to, you can say, the similar thing that I would get access to on an iPad. Now, for me, it's more often I travel around with my phone. So here I can log in and see the information that I have available here. So now it's just about how quick the 3D connection is up here. Yeah. So now I'm actually connected live to the data in my data warehouse. And just to show you how many customers do we have that actually is using this mobility, I have an analysis that actually shows that. And I still think it's actually pretty fast, the response that you get. Here you can see how many customers that we have using it on the latest version. We have plus 400 customers. But in total, if I just flip it around, I can actually see that we have now close to 1,000 out of plus 5,000 customers who are actually using Target on these mobile devices. And I can go in and see, okay, how many do we have specific in the US? It's one of our major markets, and probably also one of the major ones when it comes to using mobile devices. And there we have today, just have to zoom in here again, close to 200 companies using it. 30 is using it on the old version, 75 on the version from last year, and the latest version, which is still called 2014, that's also 75. So this just shows you it's not just a gimmick that we can set up in a demo environment. It's actually something that works pretty neat. Also here in Iceland, when I have all my data back in Denmark, I can go in and see the information that I need. This is just an analysis showing you how many customers that we have worldwide. Green is where we have many customers, yellow is medium, red not that many, and white we don't have any customers at all. So that's just an example how it looks on the iPhone. So if you design it in the right way, even on the iPhone it looks pretty neat as well. Good. That was the mobile devices. I just have a few slides to round up the presentation. Those of you who have seen Target before knows, you can say, one of the strong points with Target is ease of use. So for the designer who have to design the dashboards that you've seen on the mobile devices, if you're working with Target on a daily basis, it's pretty easy to design them. And once you have saved them in a share folder, they're actually accessible right away if you have the rights to see it on the mobile devices. So everything is in one application. It's not like you have a lot of different applications in order to be able to do it. So it's actually a fast process going from the designing phase to publishing and making it available on online as well. Now we have some issues with the screens. We carry on. Good. I just have one example from a customer in Denmark called Nordics Food, who's, as it says there, the white cheese specialist. They make these salad cubes, which we in the past were allowed to call feta, but then the Greeks came in and said they own the name there, so now we don't only call them salad cubes. Nordics Food has approximately 80 employees and have a revenue around plus 150 million euros. It's been a long time Target customers. They've been using it since 2005. And their main data source is Microsoft Dynamics AX. They have a few other data sources as well, but it is the AX who is, you can say, the primary data source. Before going into this mobile devices solutions, their main challenge, let's take the first one here, it shifted mid-2014 that all the people started using iPads, all the salespeople, when traveling. And they had that challenge that, of course, we can set up these schedule reports so they get out the Target information, or the information from Target in PDFs, but they were static reports. So if they were in Turkey and they should go out and visit a customer, if it's not in the static report, they basically didn't have any information. Another challenge was if they really want to prepare and know all about the purchase history of the customers, they have to print out a lot of fact sheets, information in order to have it at the meeting. They didn't want that, so they did, you can say, as the iPads were their only tool when they went out to the customer, because all the things about the cheese and all that, they had that on pictures, etc. on the iPads. So of course the salespeople also wanted to have Targit available. The solution to this was that they installed the Targit mobile in 1.5 days. It is so easy. If you have the Targit environment up and running with the cubes and the analysis, installing the mobile and go mobile is a really easy task. In order to be successful, they spend another day with a Targit consultant in order to design the analysis in a way that makes sense for the people. So you can say if it was important for the salespeople to see the purchase history of a customer in Turkey, of course it should be designed in a way so it was suitable either for the iPhone or for the iPad. And in just 1.5 days, all the salespeople and the management at Nordic Food have that fully updated data at their fingertips. So for some people, it's a big change going mobile because people think it takes a lot of time to set up the environment, etc. But if you already have a BI solution running like Targit, it's actually a pretty easy task to be able to go out there and be mobile. So that's an example from a recent customer going mobile in Denmark. What's cooking in the lab? It's no secret that we invest a lot of money in these mobile devices. It's one of the key areas we see in the focus in the future, that people is going more and more mobile. So of course we invest a lot in development there as well. We release a new version, I think, mid next month. And one of the highlights there is the possibility to draw and add text to existing analysis. What you see in the bottom corner there with the green circles, apparently there's a drop in revenue in Q3. You can mark that and put it in a comment and say what's up with the revenue in Q3. You can actually also record a memo, talk to your phone, talk to your iPad if you want to do that. So you can send it across to the person who should need it. Another way to communicate and be specific about, you can say, the findings that you have in your analysis, so people can take action on this. So this is one of the new things that's coming up, and we continuously developing this and releasing multiple versions each year. So once you're on the mobile track, of course you'll be able to get full advantage of these analysis and features. So that was basically it from my side. I can only encourage you to try it out. Since all of you have smartphones, you can just go to Google App Store or Windows Store to download the Targit mobile versions. Then you'll get access to a full demo environment and be able to work around with the client yourself. That's basically it from my side. So we'll stick around here the rest of the day, or at least into midday. And if the storm is not keeping us here during the weekend, we'll fly home this afternoon. But if you have any questions, just hit me and I'll try to answer your questions. Thank you.